So, this video is new data reveals possible playable races in the saga from Doron's movies. This is the video.
Interesting new data on some incredibly interesting new data on playable races combined with actual data mine models paints a much clearer picture on who we could be playing next in the World Soul Saga.
World Soul Saga.
That no one cares about the Earthen with only 0.2%.
What? 0.2% of players are Earthen? Okay, but let's be honest. Okay, all right. They just came out not that long ago, so it's over time. There will be more Earthen, right? Because I refuse to believe that in the long term, Earthen are going to be less popular than mecha gnomes. There's just, I refuse to believe that. There's over time, Earthen are absolutely going to be more popular than mecha gnomes. Because they are horde dwarves. And dwarves are awesome. So, that alone should be enough. I can't believe that it's Cope. Yeah. It is Cope. You're right. I know. What else we got here? I don't think I've ever seen this graph before. Pandaren, Kultirans, High Mount. I made a Kultiran, and my problem with the Kultiran was the animations being weird. I felt like the run and jump animations for the Kultiran female, it felt like kind of floaty. Didn't feel very natural. I love the hairstyles, though. They have some really great hairstyles, and now they can have elf ears, which is great. Goblins are only 1.8! No way. That's going to change. With Undermined, everybody's going to see how cool goblins are. I believe that. I believe.
People playing them, but seeing that a massive change obviously happened behind the scenes in the middle of the World Soul Saga, it does seem like Blizzard is accommodating popular requests and actual evidence on their audience. Elves are insanely popular, so a new type of an elf for a NAGA seems very likely. Humans are also incredibly popular, making VRYKUL a massive possibility to be playable quite soon. Furthermore, we have data mine information for the titles, some possibilities for the Amani trolls coming at midnight.
What?
So let's combine everything we currently know.
More trolls?
Release is next because it looks like
I bet they will.
Exciting times are ahead.
So one of the releases are definitely coming. I've already opened a second channel for it, but I've released over a dozen videos, and currently so much is going on in the game with a new legendary champion that is completely free. Alice,
you have a Raid Shadow Legends channel?
Log in right after you download the game with my link below, or if you scan the QR code on the screen. Alice's adventure is still active with 5 brand new legendaries from the coolest stories. Like
you have
the
a whole
Queen of
channel
Hearts,
for
the
that.
Mad Hatter, the Cheshire Cat, and Alice that you can of course get by just logging in completely free for the next
this is a
7
bunny.
days. I've already finished this event up. She's currently one of my main characters, and you can check out my review I've made on her on my second channel. At the moment I'm a mid-game.
This is what every YouTuber has to do now. Do you realize this? Every YouTuber on YouTube is forced to make other channels for content that's not about the main game that you play. And YouTube doesn't think this is a problem. Don't you think that this is kind of bad? We have to do this. We have to literally start fresh. And then hope and pray that the algorithm will help us out. Please. Hey guys, I have another channel. Please subscribe to it.
Game player myself with over 20 level 60s.
I mean, look. It looks like he's actually playing Raid Shadow Legends. I think this is the first time I've ever seen the Raid Shadow Legends ad where...
Just starting out, I've got guides on how you can start, how you can avoid
from someone that's actually playing the game, like really...
Started playing. You'll be able to advance
actually
much quicker
playing
from
it.
campaigns to dungeons to clan boss and arenas so that you can get into late game content.
I'm not gonna play
where
though.
it gets really fun. Best of all, Raid
No.
is cross-platform, so you can play it anywhere. So
No,
click the link
thanks.
in the description or just scan the QR code
I
on the
usually
screen
listen
and
to
you will
the
get the
ad
legendary hero Alice and 2 epic ones for free only with my link.
in
You
a
will get
video
the
I'm
war
watching.
immediately upon signing up, and you will also get Ugo at level 15 with a whole bunch of stuff in between. Plus, you can use promo code MonkeyKing to get another
Okay.
free legendary Sun VRYKUL.
Okay.
So check out Raid
Let's get
and
to the
check out
video
my
about
second
WoW,
channel,
though.
Doran's Arena.
All right.
So I've been making these playable race type videos for years, often based on some of the data mine models that we've
Ooh.
discovered, various hints, but for the first time we have some actual very interesting data that we can kind of cross-examine with the teams of the next 2 expansions and actual data mine models, and we have the most likely races that we're going
Whose
to
model
see
is that?
in the next expansion.
Earthen?
Basically, a chart came out that gave some really shocking data on who are the most playable races, and some results, while sort of expected, are definitely crazy. For example, we've learned that 15% of all WoW players are playing the Blood Elves, while only 0.2% of the players are playing the
15% of players are on Blood Elves, and then 4.5% on, no, 4.4% on, no, Void Elves, 4.5, which is basically Blood Elves for Alliance.
Earthen, which gives us the impression that Blood Elves are 50 times more popular than the Earthen. Also, some races
I mean,
like the
why is
Dracula
this
are
shocking?
still not doing that well, and even some really old races like the Pandaren are barely played up to this day. Literally, when we combine the Night Elves, the Blood Elves, the variations of all the elves, like every third WoW player is some type of an elf.
This
And while
is
we're
not
talking about this,
surprising.
I got a whole video examining this data. I feel
So are you telling me that people like to play cute races that are attractive and look nice? Like, okay, more news at 11. No shit.
this kind of data is actually indicative of what content Blizzard is making and planning to make, and that is because it obviously makes sense. I mean, did you notice the crazy amount of detail that was given to the Night Elves?
See this though? She's doing this pose. Like, I really hope that Blizzard is currently working on some better emotes for the damn game. Okay, this is something FF14 excels at, and that Blizzard, you're falling behind. Okay, you need to keep up. Pretty much every other MMO that I've played has better emote selection than what we got going on in World of Warcraft. This just isn't going to cut it. We need to be able to do the little lean. We need to be able to do, like, I don't know, toss a coin to your Witcher going on. We need to have stuff, maybe class specific stuff, like in Elder Scrolls Online. There's an emote where I can just be like, have fire, playing with fire as a mage. That's some stuff you can do when you're standing around doing nothing. Okay, add that. You can monetize it. Oh my god, I shouldn't say that. Don't. It's too late. Already, I blurted it out. Shouldn't have said that. It's too late. It's too late. Fuck.
Recently, the second most popular race, why their capital was burned out of all the capitals, why they're the only ones that got a brand new capital with a brand new island. It makes sense that
$90 emote. Don't. See what this guy's doing? This is exactly what I mean. Look, what he's got going on. He's just blowing bubbles for fun.
they would push content for the most playable race if that is what people are actually playing. I mean, this might be exactly why the next expansion is literally a Blood Elf expansion focusing on the most played WoW race, and we are getting a new capital for them as well. Why is the Void even invading a quota last in the first place when the focus is on the Sword of Sargeras? That is a good question. There is a plausible theory that they're doing this because they know most people are playing these races and will be more interested in seeing their own races updated.
I don't agree. Because, okay, look at where we're at with the War Within. Okay, we're at 412. Let's find this graph. Okay, let's look at this graph. What does this graph tell us? Well, I mean, dwarves are not that unpopular. They're under others, but do you think that they thought Earthen would be really popular? I mean, it's 3.3% of the players that play Dwarf, and there's 2.4% that play Dark Iron. So that's... I mean, maybe they did look at number of people playing the two kinds of dwarves and thought that it would be a great choice. Because if you combine that, it's almost 6%. It's close. It's between Void Elf and Orc. So maybe they thought, okay, plenty of people play Dwarf. What if we have Dwarves for the Horde? And made the decision based on... But I just feel like races like Mechanol and Earthen, you could have probably guessed that they wouldn't be popping off like Blood Elves and Night Elves and Humans and Orcs, right? So, are they really making content based on what they think players will want? Like, based on the, oh, I'm sure a ton of people are going to play Earthen, so we should have an Earthen expansion. I don't think that's what they were doing. I think that they thought to themselves, we're going to have an expansion about the Underground, about the Titans, and so let's have some stuff that's related to the lore about the Titans, like the Earthen. That would make sense now. I think that's what they were going for. It doesn't feel like a decision motivated by people love playing a certain race. Really.
Races updated. However, if you think about this theory...
So do we need another elf variant? Yes. Yes. I'm actually the problem. I'm the problem. I am the type of player that's like, wants 100 more kinds of elves that you can play. Yeah.
The question arises, if that theory is plausible, then why are we currently in an expansion focused on the least popular played race of all time, the Earthen? And I think the answer to that is because big changes
bunnies are like elves.
Happen at Blizzard nearly 180-degree turn that we've all witnessed in the middle of the development. It is no surprise that Blizzard has really started, you know, actually coordinating things and getting themselves together. I mean...
Yeah. Blizzard is... We're back. I'm so glad. I've waited for this moment for so many years. They finally started getting their shit together, man.
You might have noticed
so
recently,
glad.
especially the past year, that their reputation online is also on the rise as well after Chris Metzen returned.
See this cutscene right here where Anduin's like crying and depressed in the desert? That's me. That was me. Chris Metzen just shows up and he's like, hey, it's time. It's time to come home. Stop it.
The leadership changed, key figures were fired. I mean, realistically, prior for the past 5 years, I mean, Blizzard has just been doing whatever. I feel like every day someone else had a different idea and direction, and they had like no idea what they were even doing, whether they were going left, whether they were going right. Like, we got the cinematic for Nathanos at the start of Shadowlands.
God, I don't even want to look at nothing.
That this person is a villain, that it never follows up. We were told that we would see the troll ancestors in Dragonflight. That never happened. So it really felt like the leadership at the time was planning expansions based on like what type of launch they had that day.
I don't remember this cutscene, but it doesn't matter.
Because of that, it is so obvious that Chris Metzen really started getting involved with the end of the War Within and then the next two expansions.
Blocked it out.
As we know, came in during Dragonflight, but as we always know with Blizzard, their schedule, they're always working with expansions a few years into the future, so it's almost certain that the War Within was already half finished by the time Chris Metzen came in. You might remember the news were talking about how a new saga is starting, even back at the end of Shadowlands, and we had...
There was an interview Chris Metzen did about how he got involved with development and he didn't want to like interfere too much with the creative process that was already ongoing, and it's a great interview. I think we did cover it a couple of months ago, but I really appreciated his perspective on that. He said he didn't want to just like show up and be like, all right, here's how we're gonna do things, throw everything that you were working on in the garbage. he like has a respect for the new ideas and the creative process that they already had, and I think that's a sign of a really a good person, but also a good developer.
No idea what he actually meant. I think you can see this with a really strange direction. I mean,
Bye,
things are going
Shadowlands.
from Castlekar to
Bye.
Quarterhouse to Northrend. I feel like they're kind of connecting this after they already started working on something entirely different. So realistically, the other were probably just a random spur of the moment. However, the next two expansions
Yes. Yes, that's actually what I believe. Earthen was a random spur of the moment choice. Yeah. It definitely seems like that. No. However,
let's be real. I mean, most people are actually excited about them a
that
lot more than they
Zekvir?
are for the War Within, and it seems like they are a lot more well thought out and planned based on actual data and not just random whims. I mean, they're focusing on the races that are the most played and popular. They're pushing the Void, which is one of the most sought after expansion themes, very popular within the community. Then we're going into Northrend, which was undeniably the most popular continent in WoW of all time, because that is when WoW was at its peak. It's obvious that these decisions aren't just like
I played in Wrath, and I raided, and I killed the Lich King when it was a current content. And I can honestly tell you that I think WoW is currently at its peak. I think the game today is better than it was then. I think that it's more fun. There's more to do. It's a lot more variety in the kinds of content you have access to. And as much as I cherish those memories and I can recognize it's a fantastic version of the game that I played, I don't think that means that the current version isn't excellent. And I'm extremely happy with the state of things at the moment. Does that mean things are perfect? No, of course not. But things weren't perfect then either. They never have been.
these decisions aren't just like, you know, let's discover this random isle of the shore or whatever, but this is what people actually like what they know based
This
on
is actually
evidence.
a great cinematic.
So because of that,
We need some better cinematics, though. And speaking of things that could be better, I feel like a good cinematic should tell a story and give you vibes. It shouldn't be only vibes. It shouldn't be only settings and only glimpses of characters' faces. It needs to be something is afoot, which is what's happening in this one.
I think they will also plan the future on what playable races will be added to the game, and we can not only use this data chart,
Ogres. Add ogres.
but we can also use hints that we currently have in the game, as well as data mine models on who these races.
Is this really
could be.
happening?
I personally don't
At
think
the real?
Blizzard really likes this chart. I mean, who
Tell me about the data mine models. Are you telling me that there's really ethereal they're thinking about? I don't know anything about that.
make and build an entire new race that literally 1 in every 200 WoW players is playing? This is not what brings people to come and spend money on the game. Not
But they
many
do
people
it.
are going in like, damn, I really can't wait to get back to WoW so I can play these reskinned dwarves. However, I can't see people saying like, wow, VRYKUL are now playable, I want to get back into WoW or NAGA or the
Okay, chat. Did any of y'all look at Earthen and think, hell yeah, I want to play an Earthen? This is a general question for the chat. Is he wrong? Is he wrong? I will say that I think the Earthen became more popular after we did the story. Then I know that if you finish the War Within story, they might endear themselves to you, and you might be more interested in them after that. But at first look, I didn't care till we learned about their lore in Dornogal. Nopers. Patrick says there is a ton of model work on ethereals. I didn't know that. That would make a lot of sense, though, for a Void expansion, because pretty much nobody got screwed harder than ethereals when it comes to the Void, and they understand the danger better than anyone. So I think it would be really interesting for them to be more involved. But like, I thought they were interesting. I'm a dwarf main, so I liked the look. Did you change from the type of dwarf you are to an earthen? I think they do kind of grow on you a little more. Yeah, I do think that. You did. So, your main is Earthen Shaman. Hell yeah. So we have an Earthen player. You were a Dark Iron, then Earthen. There we go. There we go. Right there. We have an Earthen in the chat. See? So, I mean, yeah, some people are playing them.
Ogres, for example.
I think that it's really cool they can eat rock. And that they can level from just exploration only. I feel like maybe more people would play them if they knew about how good the exploration buff is and how that's a really cool different way to level and all. I like the dwarves too. Yeah. Same. I think that the Earthen Paladin super awesome.
Example. So without yapping any further, let's actually discuss what seems very likely for the next 2 expansions. So, despite the fact that we are in the middle of the War Within and close to closure, there is still a possibility another playable race can be added even in this expansion. It's not out of question.
Yes. It's really another kind of elf.
You have seen or heard about the Haranir, which have a lot of data, and they will without a doubt be a
so
big
cute.
part of the story, even if they're playable in 11.1.5 or 11.2. However, I still don't think, based on the reception that people got during the expansion, that people really care all that much.
What? Take that back right now! Are you crazy? I care. Reception. It's a night elf model. It's a night elf model of allied race. It's a night elf, but with big tusks. It's better.
Much about this race, it just doesn't have this, you know, shocking factor to it.
Oh!
However, it still isn't ruled out.
No, it's just because people haven't seen it yet and they don't believe. Okay, once they've seen it, they're gonna... Okay, Haranir is absolutely happening, and when it happens, everybody's gonna love it, okay? Okay? I'm telling you, especially me.
I mean, there's still a possibility. Another big possibility are the
Chat says I'm wrong.
You can check
I
out
don't
my
care.
full video on this because there is
Give me
a ton of evidence, but the most important bit of evidence is a crazy revamp to the Ethereals that happened recently. Ethereals in general have been foreshadowed to be important in the saga for the past 2 years, with them constantly following us in the background. However, a month or 2 back, we data mined a crazy amount of updated models.
Okay. I don't like the bandages being all like around their feet like that. It looks like when you stepped on a toilet paper and walked out of the bathroom like that. You know, like, hey, you got something on your foot. Yeah, get rid of that on the bottom.
Under 2 back, we data mined a crazy amount of updated model work for the Ethereals. They got a ton of actual naked models, customization.
Naked. Is it naked? I mean... They can wrap those bandages however they want. Those magical wrappings that keeps their soul essence inside. But doesn't that mean that they can make their body as big or small as they want with the, you know, okay, let's just...
Different types of bandages, different types of faces, different types of energies that emanate from them, as well as a whole bunch of customizations, which definitely lean to the side of them being potentially playable.
I don't know.
This is not exactly
I don't think they're going to be playable.
Most popular, most sought out after race, but it is an interesting choice. I mean, it is definitely more interesting than the Earthen. It is also a race from around the peak of WoW, which was TBC, and something that...
Did you just say bandage slider? Yes, like if I was an ethereal, okay, I would give myself a biggest butt. Huge booty bandages.
also be quite different from some of the...
You don't need to wrap that tight. Man, go crazy.
These reskin type races because the materials are very unique compared to any other race that is currently playable. In regards to them, I mean, it is possible that they could just be setting them up for the War Within, the finale of the War Within, but also for Midnight when the actual expansion will be fully focused on the Void and the Void. Now, in regards to Midnight in general, ideally, Amani trolls are going to be a big part of the zone, which could make these types of trolls playable.
So, the reason why Ethereal will be a good choice for an expansion about the Void is because their planet was consumed by a Void Lord. So, basically, a big butt demon, Void Lord enemy, huge guy, who's bad, showed up to their planet and caused a flood of darkness, essentially. And they should have all died. This should have been an apocalypse that killed everybody because that's what Void Lords do. But because the Ethereal was a super advanced, magical, technological race, they were able to kind of shield themselves and prevent total annihilation, leaving behind some sliver of themselves that they managed to wrap up with bandages. So that's why it's such a unique race, why they it's crazy that they exist. They're some of the only survivors of an incident like this happening ever. And I don't think more of them can really be made because of the circumstances in which they came about.
Interesting enough, based on the chart, the troll races are kind of the higher mid-range when it comes to popularity, but people do seem to like the Zandalani, for example, that you can definitely say look pretty badass, just appearance-wise. So, a horde race,
people like Zandalari because they look fantastic in armor. They're tall, they're buff, but they're athletic. They're like not too wide. They're not too skinny. They have a really great proportions. And so, and they also have huge tusks, which look really, really cool. So that's why people play Zandalar.
Could be a possibility. However, for the Alliance, another elf variation could totally be possible if they really decide to go the lazy route, but the Naga are definitely not ruled out. I mean, recently, there was a lot of foreshadowing if you've been following the board with
best girl. Oh my god, I love her so much.
Charlotte returning very soon.
Yes!
Not all of the Nagas seem to follow her and her crazy void plan, and a big part of them in Najatar are just left to their own devices without a leader. Furthermore, there is big talk of a massive Elven reunion in Qualtalas in Midnight, which could actually make Naga playable. Keep in mind, these guys are literally elves evolved by the old gods.
Oh my god, yes! It's sea elves. That would make so much sense.
Maybe more elves. Their form could be toned down and they could make new models that would be more playable.
Okay, if they're gonna add the Naga, they need to give us Husbando Naga, okay? Please, don't give us the fish face ones. Like, maybe have it as an option for people that want that, but there's cute female Naga, and so I feel like we also need to have handsome male Naga too, please. Don't do this. I don't want only this. So you want handsome Squidward? Yes. Yes. Yes, I want handsome Squidward.
Be more playable with a shape-shift type form for swimming.
That's right.
I think this would be a very interesting, very well popular playable race because they have been playable back in Warcraft 3, and the Naga are definitely highly requested within the community.
Cool.
Now, personally, I would definitely also like to see ogres, but I mean, realistically, nothing in the World Soul Saga makes them relevant in any way, so I think this is very likely not an option. However,
who cares if they're relevant? Look, they can pull lore out of their ass, no problem. Like, look at Void Elf lore. They're like, oh well, looks like some blood elves got stuck in the void, but now they're in the Alliance. Yep, you didn't know about this, but actually they were studying void magic, and they weren't allowed to do that. That's why you never heard about them before. Okay.
For the finale of the World Soul
Okay.
Saga, we have a really popular and interesting option as we are going into revamped and very likely enlarged Northrend, where we have two highly requested races. Most importantly, the VRYKUL that are an
VRYKUL.
incredibly popular option, but also the Tuskar. Now, to not yap here mindlessly based on the data, it is definitely a little bit weird. I mean, humans are the third most popular race with over 10% of players, so a spin-off of much cooler looking humans would be a
Yes.
very popular option.
That would make sense.
However, we did get larger humans, the Cultirans, and they're just
True.
not that popular at all based on this data as well. I mean, Cultirans are nearly 10 times less popular than the...
I mean, but Culturans are not at all comparable to VRYKUL. Like, VRYKUL are like the women are like Amazon women,
when they
warrior
were
women.
humans. And I think a big part of it is really their look. I mean, a lot of people see the Cultirans as just large and fat humans, while they see the VRYKUL as like a badass Viking type human,
I mean,
which is why I think a VRYKUL would be much more popular. They also got their history tied to the Titans.
the VRYKUL, I think, were also a creation of the Titans. Weren't they originally? Yeah, they were originally Titan constructs that succumbed to the curse of flesh, and that's something you can learn about in Siren Isle. Siren Isle touches on some of this lore. So
Scourge and everything, and
this
it
feels
would be a very
inevitable.
popular option in like a let's go back to Northrend, Wrath of the Lich King 2.0 expansion, which would be like the pinnacle of nostalgia bait to sell this expansion. Other option I mentioned are the Tuskar, but I'm really not certain on them anymore. I mean, they did get a massive update in Dragonfight, but they weren't playable in the end, even though it was possible that they could be. But I think while this is also a popular option, that I don't know how to put it simply, like these goofy looking races just don't seem to be that popular, which is evident with the data, like with the Pantherian are barely being played despite being in the game for 15 years. So I'm not certain how much people would really be excited about this. However, based on the data and the data mine information and the teams, we do have a relatively narrow amount of potential playable races for the World Soul Saga. Of course, you know, Blizzard can always surprise us and come up with something completely new. I mean, there is a possibility we discover a completely new race on Evaloran that is unlike any other, something related to the Titan Forged or something with this new Anati Kingdom. But so far, some of the evidence is for the Haronir, Ethereals, Amani Trolls, Naga, Elf variations, as well as the VRYKUL.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Check out the video on Android, finally returning as the King of the Alliance by clicking on the screen, and check out my Ring channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next.
Well, I liked the video. It was a fun watch. That's Doron's movies. I will give you a link to this video in the chat so that you can head over there, drop a sub, drop a like for a fantastic video. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. This is a really fun subject for me. This is something I tend to hyper focus on for some reason. What kind of race I can play. I got my heart set on Haronir though. That's what I think is coming. That's what I'm convinced is going to occur. And I need that to happen.